Hey everyone, welcome to One Mic Stand. I'm your host slash coach, Vanessa Fine, and I want to welcome fitness instructor, matchmaker, and comedian Olivia Atwood. Welcome, Olivia. Hey Olivia, welcome to the show.
Wow. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you so much for having me on today.
I'm so excited you're here. So we start the show out with the same prompt slash question each time, which is, tell me about the worst date that you've ever had.
Wow, golly. There are so many to choose from, to be honest. So
Oh, good. Let's hear 'em.
it's really a treasure trove. I think the worst date that I've ever been on, for a little while when I was living in New York, I was working as a birthday party clown. And when I was a birthday party clown, one day at Clown Town, which was clown school that I would go to twice a week to train to do the birthday parties, I saw a hot clown. And I was like, oh my gosh, a hot clown. And that was really rare at Clown Town. There were no hot clowns.
Was this a hot guy dressed as a clown, or you have like some sort of clown fetish, which might be a new phenomenon? No judgment. This is
no
new.
clown fetish. This was a hot man who was at clown school to be a clown.
Okay,
he
that
was
makes me
very
feel better.
beautiful,
Okay.
uniquely hot man, Clown Town. Anyways, and I spent all of Clown Town trying to impress him. I was pulling all of the rabbits out of hats in his direction and trying to serenade him with wheels on the bus, go round and round, that kind of thing. None of these are euphemisms. I wish that they were, but this is just a true thing that happens. Anyways, he ended up asking me out and we went on a date. And it turns out, and I'm really abridging this story here, but it turns out that he's a cannibal. And he spent a lot of the date telling me about how he likes to eat human flesh. Human flesh.
Wait.
This was on a date with me. Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Let's back up.
100%.
This person was hired
Yes.
to host children's birthday parties, and it wasn't until your date.
Until my date.
I'm guessing background checks aren't done for
No,
clowns?
definitely not at Clown Town. Definitely not. Definitely not at Clown Town. They are a bit of a seedy operation, I would say. The worst part is he had actually been sent back to clown school for remedial clown training. And so my working theory is that he ate a child on the job.
That's where my mind was going, but I didn't even want to say it. Okay, so
Sorry to plant those seeds.
So I was gonna say, is it like that gingerbread men story, and she didn't she bake the kids or something in the oven?
It could have been like that. I'm not really sure. But he
Wait.
was sent back to remedial clown school. And I did go on a date with him. Happy to report it was just one date. And I did bail in the middle.
Wait
I did
a
run
minute.
away.
So how does something? Okay, wait, because I need to ask a lot of questions here. So how does something like this come up in conversation? Like, does he see does he look at the menu and then he's like,
Damn.
no, there's no arms on this menu, or like, I kind of want a human leg, not a turkey leg. Like, how does something like that come up?
I honestly wish it had come up as natural as you just made that sound. But what happened is he literally, apropos of nothing, was like, yeah, so I like to eat the flesh of other humans. And I was like, I'm sorry, what was that?
What's his name? Army Hammer.
No, his
Okay,
name was
just
not
checking,
Army
just
Hammer.
checking.
I wish that it was Army Hammer, but when all the Army Hammer stuff was coming out, I was like, listen, those people walk among us, and I've sat across from one of them before. They be out there. Yeah, he started showing me his teeth. He was like, these were made for, not eating vegetables. I was like, actually, I'm pretty sure incisors were literally made for eating vegetables, but okay, sure.
Can I just sideline here to say that
Please.
Olivia and I made no prep for this conversation. I am just as alarmed and surprised as you are. So I, pun intended, couldn't ask for a juicier first date story. Continue.
I think that was certainly my worst date. I've never cut and run on a date before in my life. But I did. He asked me if I wanted a second round, stood up to go get more drinks, and I was out-T-O-U-T. I was on a run. I sprinted down the streets of New York, and this was had only been living in New York for maybe 6 months at this time, didn't really know the trains or anything. I just started getting on subways. Anytime they pulled into a station, I would just get off and get onto a different subway. I was like, I gotta get as far away as possible from fucking West Village or wherever I was. Anyways.
Can you show the viewers what your face looked like when he said that he likes the flesh of other humans?
I think when he first said that, I was just like, what?
Did you say you must be kidding or something?
I I honestly think I just laughed. Like, I think I was just like, ah, ha, ha, that's weird. Ah, ha, ha, ha. And he was like, no, really. And I was like, nah, what?
So it happened like fairly quickly where you realized he was being serious.
Oh, yeah. No, and he kept, yeah, he was leaning into it. Like, he really wanted to give me the like, details. Like, he really wanted to tell me everything about it.
Did he say anything like, I know I typically get that kind of reaction too? Or this was normal for him?
He was not, no. He was just telling me his truth, his journey. There was no humor about it. I mean, as soon as I walked into the bar, I knew, I was like, something's weird about this guy. Like, from like the way he was dressed, like his hair, like everything was just a little bit off. And I was like, something's weird about this feller. And then he just kind of launched right into it. I don't know if he was like on something. He was really focused, you know? He was really like telling me about being a cannibal. So, yeah, I think that was the worst date that I've ever been on.
Well, that might be the worst date I've actually ever heard. So kudos to you, because we're going to hear a lot of these stories and you might have taken the cake.
It's hard. It's hard to have so many successful dates. It's tough.
Okay, wait. So my follow-up question, which I'm sure all the viewers are wondering too, is what happened with the birthday parties after? Like, did you report him to the company?
No.
No?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
So he's still working.
Holla.
He's still working.
No, I don't think he is. I went to Clown Town for only one more week after this happened. Also, Clown Town, there was so much weird stuff going on at Clown Town. Like, this was kind of the final straw for me. I wish it had been the actual final straw and I had not returned, but I did return. He did not. I never saw him again. And then I left Clown Town.
That's interesting that you never saw him again. Do you
never
think it was
saw him
just
again?
That your paths didn't cross, or do you think he like?
I don't know. To this
went
day,
to
he could just be
prison?
out there around, or like maybe he got really freaked out and was like, "I told this girl my secret, and I got a GTFO."
I don't think so, because normally you're supposed to shy away from certain topics on a first date.
Typically,
This is I don't
usually
even
it's
know
like
what-
we don't need to unpack our trauma on a first date, but he was like, "I'm just gonna tell you, like."
Well, listen, like, I guess he
About
doesn't
me.
consider it trauma. I mean,
No.
I can't have cheese, so when I go on a first date, you know, I have to let them know, like,
Personally,
I have a dairy
I'm a
allergy,
vegetarian,
but,
so
you know, a cannibal, like, I guess that's part of our vernacular now.
yeah, just you want to make sure. I guess it's good to be upfront about those kind of things.
Wow, that is
They're out there. That's all for all you listeners.
this is
they're
why
out there. Beware.
This is what I do, because these are things people need to know, and they really do exist. And the fact that he said it so normally, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So you ran out the door. Was he calling you, texting you?
I don't even know. I don't even like. I was gone. That was it. I was out. Poof. We were hitting the road. I don't think we ever texted again. We'd also barely like texted prior to this. I don't even remember his name. I just called him the hot clown. Like, he had a name that wasn't the hot clown, but in my head, he's the hot clown forever, immortalized.
So tell us about your current dating status.
I've been in a relationship now for about 4 years. I guess you could say 3.5. We broke up for 6 months in the middle there somewhere after about 2 years. So it's like 4 years total, but like 3.5 if you take out the 6-month break.
Okay, and tell us how you met. What's his name? Do you guys live together?
So we met. I like our how we met story because we did meet on Hinge, which classic. Everyone meets on Hinge these days. However, I was dating somebody else at the time. Not exclusively, not seriously, but we had been seeing each other for a little while. And this guy that I was seeing was moving. And I was like really pissed that he was moving, and he was kind of being shady as he was like gearing up to leave and like not really texting me. And like there was all this drama I can't really remember, but I think he meant to invite me to his like goodbye party, but he didn't, I just remember being really pissed about it. This was during a year where I had made a New Year's resolution that I was going to go on one date a month with somebody I met in the real world, and I wasn't going to use the dating apps for an entire year. So like that was this year that I was having. And I really successfully was going on one date a month with somebody I met in the real world. As soon as you open your eyes to that, and for me, I'm such a homework-based, like I'm such a planner, checking things off of lists kind of girl, that when I made this as a resolution for myself, it felt like a homework assignment. So suddenly every party, every day, every grocery store was like, this is an opportunity for me to achieve my March date, my February date, my April date. Like I was on the lookout, you know, like I was like on safari, like husband watch, here we go. And so I'd been doing that. And then I met this guy in March. And so I started seeing this guy like March to the summer. I was still getting my additional in-person date because this guy and I weren't that serious, but he was like my favorite guy, I would say. So I'd been sort of dating him. He was moving. I was mad about it. He wasn't being super clear about what was going on or what we were, anything like that. It was August of 2019. I was talking to my sister on the phone, and my sister was like, you know what, Liv, whatever, just download a dating app just to remind yourself that there are other people out there. I know you didn't make it a whole year, but it's August, it's close. Just download a dating app. So I said, okay. So I downloaded Hinge. I had deleted the app off my phone, but like hadn't deleted my account, so everything was still on there. But without looking, without scrolling, I just clicked on the top conversation that I'd been having a year prior. The guy had said, we should grab a drink sometime. Literally 12 months later, I reply, yeah, we should, and drop my phone number. And that was it. Threw my phone in my bag, like didn't even think about it. Didn't look at the picture. Didn't scroll. No swiping. Just responded that. Like 20 minutes later, my phone rang and it said maybe and then name. And I picked up the phone and it was this guy. And he was like, hey, like just saw your number on the thing. Like I'm on the train. I'm going over the bridge. Like I'm headed into Williamsburg, like heading over the bridge. Are you free tonight? And I said no, because I was like, what the hell? Like who called? I was like, what? Like you're calling me? Like that's so weird. And he was on the bridge. So he had service for like 5 minutes, not even, before he was about to go underground again. And he was like, okay, well, like if you change your mind. So I lied. I was like, I like have a dinner party tonight or something. Like I'm like cooking or something like that. And he was like, okay, if you change your mind. And then he laughed, and his laugh was so unique and funny and silly, like this big, I to this day haven't really heard a laugh like it before, that it changed my mind. And I was like, actually, you know what, never mind. Sure, I'll beat you out in like an hour. I was wearing sweatpants, like I had just gotten back from rehearsal, I didn't have makeup on, like got dressed quickly, hopped in an Uber, like Ubered, met him at this bar, and we've been dating ever since.
That is brilliant. So first of all, kudos to you for the New Year's resolution of the one date a month. So this was 2019, 2018?
This was August 2019.
But your assignment was like prior to that,
yes,
right?
I made the resolution like New Year's Eve, so like December 2018. For the year of 2019, I was going to do one date a month. My end goal was, I was like, I'm going to have a boyfriend by next New Year's. Like it had been a while since I'd had a boyfriend. I was really sick of it. I felt like I was trying my best. But when I really thought about it, I was like, you know what? I actually don't think I'm trying my best. I think I'm complaining about being single, but I don't think I'm being, because I'm very active about things that I want. For example, fitness. I'd never worked out a day in my life. I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to try to get into fitness. And I'm, cut to 5 years later, I'm a fitness instructor full time. Like when I commit to something, I like really go all in. And so I was like, I actually don't think I'm giving dating my all. Like, I don't think I'm actually trying here. I think I'm just like complaining and like going on shitty dates and whatever. And so this was the first time I tried to actually be active about it. And it worked.
Wow.
Not really necessarily in the way I intended, but it definitely opened my eyes to like ways that I could be dating without being on the apps.
I mean, good for you. Like that's incredible. And I'm that kind of person too, where I don't just complain about it, I do something about it. So for those who are actively looking, going back to your homework assignment, what was the type of approach that you had? The reason I was asking the year is because, obviously years have passed, a pandemic has passed.
Sure.
I think it's a bit harder now. And, with our ages alone, or at least mine, it's more common that guys are married. And it also depends on where you are. This was in New York City, correct?
Yes, this is in New York City.
So what was the type of approach you had? Did you say something like, I'm giving myself a challenge, I'm doing this? Or were you just like, hey, can you move out of the way? I'm trying to grab those apples.
It was definitely a combination. Sometimes the guy that I was seeing before my current boyfriend, was at a party that I met of mutual friends, and he was a friend of one of my best friends. And so with him, I was just like talking to him about this challenge, and it was at the end of March, and I was like, I haven't gotten my March date yet. And he was like, I'll be your March date. And I was like, wait, really? And he was like, yeah, like I'll be your March date, like whatever. We had just been kind of bantering about it. So that's how he came about. The other people, though, I don't think I was like telling them about my challenge or anything like that. One guy famously, I think my January or February date, and this was foolish of me, my roommates knew about the challenge, and we would, I was super tight with my roommates. We joked about stuff all the time. And on the whiteboard, on the refrigerator rather, we had this whiteboard, and somebody had made a tally, like January, March, whatever, and like Liv's like date count. And I had been making like marks next to it, and this one guy came over and like saw this like date tally, and then we never went out again. Like I think he like saw it and was like, what the hell? Like what have I stumbled into? Like why is this girl like tagging? And I wasn't. My roommates were just like, oh, like Liv's going out with like, she hit February, like she hit whatever. So definitely I wasn't talking about it to that many people. But I was open about it when I would meet people at like a mutual whatever. I'd be like, yeah, like I have to get my in-person date right now. Like I'm on a quest.
Oh my God, gotta cover your tracks, girl.
Yeah,
but you know what?
none of that.
At the same
no
time,
whiteboards.
you know what? Guys typically are dating 3 to 4 people at a time. You're doing one a month. Like, get over it.
Exactly. It's
that guy
fine.
sounds like a loser.
It was just really, I would say the whole practice was more for me, right? Like it changes going into the grocery store from grocery shopping to like, I have to find someone. And like, it doesn't have to be the best date of my life. It was just like, I have to meet someone out here, Like I got to find someone for example, at a bar. Like if I get to a bar and I'm waiting for a friend to come, okay, sit up at the bar and like talk to the people around me, see what happens. And I did go on one of my dates from literally that. I got to a bar like 45 minutes before I was meeting friends and just started chatting and went out with one of the guys there.
And these guys that you went up to, did you find them all attractive, or did you just feel like you had to meet a quota in any sort of single guy?
I definitely wouldn't say I did any sort of single guy. I definitely was a little discerning in what I was looking for. I don't know if it was just because I was doing this challenge and had my eyes wide open at the time. I definitely found myself attending more parties, or like, I think a lot of times it's really easy to bail on social events and be like, ugh, like I'm tired. I have to wake up early tomorrow. I have to wake up the way we do every single day. And I definitely was like going out more, I would say, but not, I'm not really a party girl. I don't like drink that much, but I would just be like, okay, you're having a dinner party. I'll be there. Sure. Whatever. So I think there was a real component to that. So a lot of the people I was meeting at these events, but I think I had a different attitude or energy going in, because a lot of times I feel like I see a cute guy at a party and I assume they're taken, they're an asshole, they're gay, they're this, they're that, and I just like won't even bother.
They're a cannibal.
Exactly, they're a cannibal, as one does. But I would like see a cute guy at a party and be like, okay, I'm gonna try to go talk to him, and whatever. So I was definitely still trying to go for people that I would be interested in. I'm trying to think if there was anyone I went out with that I wasn't really. I mean, there were some guys that I went out with that I wasn't that interested in, but it was more like they had approached me in situations.
Okay.
And I'll always give anyone a chance for the most part.
Awesome.
Even cannibals, obviously. So maybe I need to be more
cannibals
discerning.
And clowns, yeah. Okay, well, we need to sideline on that to write the script for that, because that is amazing. It's kind of like 27 dresses, but
Yeah.
27 dates.
27 dates. Yeah, for a little bit, I was thinking about, when I didn't make it the whole year, but I thought about maybe doing a book, or I'm a comedian, some kind of comedy show that was like a year of first dates, or like I thought about doing some kind of project with it, but never really did.
Totally, and then maybe you can even bring some of the guys back, too.
Exactly, interview them, see what's going on with them.
see where they're at now, and then send them my way for dating coaching.
There you go.
So you're on Hinge.
Mm-hmm.
Had you done any of the other apps, or Hinge just seemed to be like maybe the most legit?
I had dabbled in the apps before, pretty much I think just Bumble and Hinge. I hadn't gone on that many dates on the apps though. Like really, like less than 10 probably. Like very, very few. Bumble and Hinge mostly, and actually my current boyfriend is the first person from a dating app that I ever went home with. I'd never gone home with somebody on a dating app before. I'm just too anxious. I'm always worried I'm going to get murdered, like way, way, way too anxious. But I think because when I went out with my current boyfriend, my head, like, I think I was just in a specific mindset because I had just been seeing this other guy and I was kind of pissed. So I think I was like, I'm going out, like, I'm going to have a hot girl night. Like, I'm going to go home with a stranger. Like, we're doing it, you know? Like, this is like a revenge situation. Like, I'm angry. And I remember when I left my boyfriend's apartment that morning, I was like, I'm never going to see this guy again. I was like, this is literally, I thought he was so hot, but I was like, this is like one night stand. I remember in the morning, I was like, see you never. And then I just like walked out the door.
So you mean one mic stand?
Yes, excuse me. I was like, this is a one mic stand.
Love it. Love it. Oh my gosh. Wow. So you have a really unconventional story here. I mean, that's epic.
Yes, my boyfriend texted me the day after the date asking me if I wanted to get dinner and a movie the next night. And I remember being like, my one mic stand is texting me. I was like, what? Like, I did not think that I was ever going to see that boy again, which is not that I wasn't into him. I was just like, this was not my intent. Like, I was just doing this to like get back on the horse. Like, that's what we were doing.
You're almost like, wait, who is this?
Yeah, I literally was like, I could not believe when he texted me. Like, I was shook.
100%. I mean, understandably. And listen, like I always say in my program, like there's no rule book. There's no law. Everyone has a different story. Mm-hmm. Clearly, you know, at the end of the day, it kind of just comes down to chemistry among a million other things. But, you know, that's awesome that it worked out. And so now, do you want to talk a little bit about where you guys are at now in your relationship?
Sure. We've been together for a pretty long time at this point. So, like I said, like 3.5, 4 years, depending on how you want to cut it. But I live in Los Angeles and he lives in New York. So we're currently rocking the 3,000-mile long distance game. It's nobody's favorite. I would say it's not advisable. I would also say that it is definitely a true test, my roommate and I talk about this all the time. It's definitely a true test, right? Because we miss each other. We definitely trust each other. I never have any doubts in my mind that like he's doing anything nefarious. Same thing. He knows I'm not doing anything crazy. Like, it definitely is a test of trust for sure. And we definitely trust each other like 100%, beyond 100%. But it's definitely hard at this stage in the game being long distance. He's 29, I'll be 29 soon. And, you know, we're surrounded by a lot of people who are getting engaged and we're like not even living in the same city. We spend a lot of time with each other. When I go visit, I'll be there for long stretches. I was just there for 5 weeks. He's going to be here later today, and then we're going to be together most of September for various things. So we definitely spend like long periods of time together. We were living together on and off during COVID, as I think most people were. It's hard to count that as living together when nothing regular was happening at all. So I personally don't count that. It was a great time. Like, we had a blast, but I don't think that's indicative of like real world living together. So yeah, we're just trying to figure out where we want to be right now and what the next steps are. Taking it slow and just kind of figuring it out. You know, I'm not really in a rush, I would say, quite yet. And I don't think he is either, but we definitely have location obstacles.
Sure. What would you say is the hardest part about being in a long distance relationship out of everything?
Oh gosh. I would say 2 things. Number 1, the time change is hard.
Yeah.
Because I can't even text him right before bed. I mean, I do, but he's already asleep. Or like he'll text me good night, but it's like 7 o'clock for me and I still have like the whole night to go. And so that can feel kind of lonely when you're like, or if something happens and I like want to tell him, but like he's asleep. So like I will, but like he's asleep. Like he won't read it until the next morning. It could just be kind of awkward to like say goodnight at vastly different times. So that's hard. And then I would say the other hardest part is just not having them be there for a part of your day to day, because there's a lot of little stuff that I'll probably will tell him, but I won't tell him in the moment, or some stuff I neglect to say. That's just the little minutia of my day-to-day life.
I mean, listen, we're both from the East Coast. The time difference, even though it's only 3 hours, it does make a difference. Those nighttime moments, I've been there, you know, my night doesn't begin until like 8 o'clock. My brain doesn't calm down. So then I'm seeing memes. I'm seeing stuff on TV. I'm thinking of something funny that happened. Like, that's really hard. So that is a very interesting answer, actually, because you wouldn't think it would make that much of a difference, but it really does, and it is things like that.
I actually almost think that 3 hours And, somebody, I think probably London would be worse because LA to London is a horrible, horrible time change. I had friends in London. You can never talk to them on the phone. The 3 hours is just really hard because it's just a slight off, like it's just, he's in his evening, we could talk on the phone, but I'm still at work. And then he's going to bed when I've gotten off of work. Like it's just this annoying little section. Harder, definitely the only harder one I can think of is London. Because then you actually can like never talk. Like Paris is just horrible from LA. Right. It's just the worst.
Right.
So thank God that it's not that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Could be better though.
Let's get you guys on the same coast. So then I guess for anyone who is doing long distance, if you could give them any piece of advice, what would you say?
That's a great question. For anyone who is doing long distance, a piece of advice. If you can visit each other as much as you can. We are very lucky in that we have flexible schedules. I'm a fitness instructor, so my hours are pretty wonky and I can kind of rearrange things and take time off. He works for himself, and, runs his own stuff mostly. So we have pretty flexible hours. I really don't think that this would be possible at all if either of us had a 9 to 5 that was inflexible. So if you're going to do it, just make sure that you have the ability to see each other as much as you can, because there's just no way that I would be able to do this if it wasn't this flexible. Like he's coming tonight. He just literally texted me this morning. He's at a wedding right now, and he and one of his friends live in San Francisco, and he was like, you know what, I think I'm just going to go to the airport with my friend and fly to California tonight. And I was like, great, like sounds good. Awesome.
Wow.
And like that, if that wasn't a possibility, I'd be looking at, I'm going to meet him at a wedding in September. That would be, it's like 2.5 weeks from now would be the next time that I was going to see him. So
right.
The flexibility is huge. And the only other piece of advice I think I would give is, I don't even know if this is a pro long distance advice or anti long distance advice, but I have a really independent, full life, and I kind of hate saying full life because it sounds like some like old person phrase about like, you have to have a full life. But I'm definitely super busy. I have a ton of different jobs. I have a ton of clients. I have a ton of people that I like really love and care about out here. Ton of social events that I attend. I'm not just like sitting at home FaceTiming him at all. I think that is a pro and a con. It's a con in that I'm very independent. And so I don't always feel like I need a boyfriend, which is the way I was even before I started dating my current boyfriend. But the pro of that is I'm definitely not like staring out the window, like longing for him, which is good and bad. But I think that I probably lean on that being a good thing because I feel very fulfilled, even though my boyfriend isn't with me all the time.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the best you can do that. And probably that you guys just need to be really great communicators.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So switching gears. So I know that we talked about how you're a matchmaker, and that is something I want to hear more about. So tell us about your matchmaking company, Lives Love Pool.
Yes, Lives Love Pool. Lives Love Pool. So during COVID, as I'm sure many people were, I was laid off of so many jobs. I work odd jobs because I'm an actress and a comedian and a writer and blah, blah, blah. So a lot of odd jobs, and I was laid off of all 6 of them at the same, just boom, boom, dominoes, just down the line. A lot of the companies were just going out of business. Theater sank like a stone, blah, blah, blah. So I was unemployed. I probably was sitting on my ass for like a week, and I was watching Love is Blind, and someone was like, hey, like, you should do Liv's Love is Blind and just like run it through your Instagram and have people DM you and you can set them up. And I was like, that would be hilarious. Sure.
Well, had you dabbled in that before? Like, what made someone say that?
No, I hadn't dabbled in that before. I forget. I don't even know what had queued it off. I think I was just joking with someone about it. And I was like, LOL, like, should I do this? And they were like, wow, you totally should. Like, we were just kind of like messing around, really. I love romance. I love The Bachelor. I love, like, I talk about that kind of thing all the time. I love rom-coms. I've done some like dating theater shows before in New York, and I just thought that it would be a fun thing for me to do. I guess I do like setting people up, or I just pretty much only talk about romance. I would say it's my favorite thing to talk about. And so I don't know, it just felt like a fun little project. So I posted on Instagram being like, hey, if you want me to set you up for a fun, flirty phone call, like DM me. I like put my phone down, didn't think about it, came back, and I just had so many freaking DMs, like just out of control. I had no system. I had nothing to support this, like nightmare situation. I had little note cards that I was just moving around my dining room table, like matching people up, like literally pushing note cards together and being like, okay, that'll work. Okay, that'll work. So that was the first round that I did. That went pretty well. From that first round, we still have 3 couples that are 3 years strong now from literally that first round. And that's when I realized, oh, this like could be a thing. And like, maybe I'm good at this, ? And so from there I did pools 2, 3, and 4. And pool 4 is what we still have.
Do you have like typical clientele?
It really has varied through the years. When I started it, I would say it was mostly people in their 20s, right around my age, because that's just who was finding me. But as we've grown and gotten different press opportunities, for example, when I was on NPR, everybody who listens to NPR is like typically in their 40s through 60s. You don't get a lot of 20-somethings listening to NPR. Some, but like not many. And so that segment they really flocked to me after the NPR. So then I found myself really matching divorcees. Okay. So like it switched.
Okay, got it. That's awesome. So what would you say is the key to matchmaking? Like, how do you tend to find the most success, would you say?
Another excellent question. I would say for me, it's really a gut feeling, which is like pretty hard to explain and has been an issue in terms of scaling my company because it's so much just based on like my intuition and like how I'm feeling about things. But I would say that with matchmaking, the most important thing for a matchmaker and for a client alike is open-mindedness, because you just have to be ready to meet different types of people. They might be people that you've never considered as your type before, that on paper you're like, like I don't maybe. And you just have to be open-minded. One of the biggest things for me is I hate when people come to me with a list and they say, these are the things that I'm looking for. They need to be 6'3". They need to be obsessed with cheese. They need to have grown up in this town and gone to this high school. And like, I won't tolerate someone with long fingernails. Like, people will literally come to me with the most specific things. And I'm like, okay, can't help you. Like, that's not gonna jive with me. So I think open-mindedness is the most important for matchmakers and for clients. Goes both ways.
Got it. So how long do you know someone, or do you have like an interview with them? Like, how do you know what type of person they might be good with while keeping an open mind?
So right now, the way my system works is there's no interview. You literally just fill out a form online, and it just asks you 3 questions about yourself. And then it asks you if you have anything else that you would like to share. It also asks you like, name, age, blah, 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 all those basic questions, who you're interested in, gender, sexuality, etc. And I'm just going off of those 3 things right now. I do work with private clients where I collect more information from them, and we do meet and I talk to them, and I kind of am more of a headhunter for those type of people. I'm doing a little bit less of the headhunting work these days. But I always say that it's not what you say in your answers, it's how you say it. So I'm really reading between the lines here. I'm looking at your punctuation. I'm looking at your periods versus your exclamation marks. Like, I'm looking at how much you've written, how little you've written. I get a lot of information from the anything else column. In that anything else, when you ask people, is there anything else you'd like to say? It's the same as at the doctor when there's like, is there anything else going on? And you like pause and think about it. That's always where people really hit me with something that like, oh, they didn't think it was important, but since you're asking, turns out I can't feel my whole left leg, or whatever it is that you bring up to the doctor.
Or you eat human flesh.
Exactly. Yeah. That would be definitely an anything else. That would definitely go in that anything else column.
Right.
But yeah, it's always, I just feel like I can learn a lot about people with not that much information. I also like that it's really open-ended. I know that a lot of dating apps, it's way more prompts, right? And that helps to jog your mind and your memory, and I think that that's great in its own right. But for Liv's Love Pool, I'm literally just asking you for 3 facts about yourself, and I want you to use that space however you see fit.
Well, and this is actually also something I talk about in my coaching program too, where, because people say, oh, you can't learn enough about someone from an online profile. That's not true at all. I actually think that's why Hinge might be the best one to learn about someone, because the way that they answer the prompts, if they answer a prompt where they're like, 5-year plan, get me off this app. Like, they're having a tough time. They're angry. They're frustrated. Maybe they're going to be a bit short-tempered when it comes to it. So you have even way less of a way to tell.
Yeah.
But it really does say a lot. So if I were to ask you, what kind of guy would you set me up with? Would you have an answer for that? Or just depend on the answers that you're getting back from the guys?
It's always interesting because people ask me that all the time, right? When people find out that I have a matchmaking company, like different clients of mine, because obviously I'm also a fitness instructor, and a lot of my fitness instructor clients have since joined the Love Pool. And so many people will say to me, okay, well, what kind of person would you set me up with? And what's interesting is when I know you, it's actually harder for me to match you. Because as soon as I know you and see you and talk to you, this is why I actually have a really hard time setting up my best friends. Because also then when I set them up, they're like, Liv, seriously? You're going to set me up with that guy? Like, come on. Like, really? Whereas when it's somebody that I don't know and I'm kind of this omniscient matchmaker, I can be like, I'm going to give this a try. And if it doesn't go well, fine, swing and a miss. Let me roll something else in there and see what happens. I can mess with the energies a little more freely. Whereas once I've seen someone in the flesh, I'm always like, oh God, I don't know. Vanessa comes and takes my class. Does that mean she wants to go with someone who takes class? Or maybe she doesn't. Maybe she wants to be the more fit one in the relationship. Maybe she does. She's from New York. Okay. Does it need to be when I'm clouded with so much information, it freaks me out. But at the same time, when I meet people, they get in my head a little bit. So I could also pin you in my head and be like, okay, mental Rolodex. Let me think, let me go through. And I'll eventually pull some people that I'd be like, maybe, but it always stresses me out more once I've spent time with someone, because I just think the stakes are so much higher, the expectations are so much higher.
It's so much more pressure. I will say any of the coaching clients that I have who have gone through Matchmakers, all of them have had such terrible experiences to the point where they've seeked lawsuits, they've asked for refunds, they've gotten lawyers involved, serious.
Yeah. I know a lot of clients have come to me after having really horrible matchmaking experiences with certain companies that I will not name, but that they have sued. Yeah.
They're probably the same ones.
They're probably the same ones.
I've been approached many times by the matchmakers. They've found me on Instagram, and so I'm not the one that's in the pool looking, but they find me for the guys. And they seem like catches. They've never been my type, but my clients that have had so many issues with them, they seem to not follow what the person's looking for, but they also don't acknowledge that. And then my current client that I have who has had the biggest issue with it, they're gaslighting her a lot, where she'll act in a certain way, whether it's she missed his call and didn't call him back till the next day, and then they blame her for saying, you didn't call him back, it's on you. And I don't know if that's just because money is involved and they want to cover their bases, but this is a breath of fresh air, because obviously I work with clients, and matchmakers are not a competition. It's just like dating apps where I help build online profiles. It's something we could do together, but this is a breath of fresh air because you have so many success stories that it gives hope to people looking who want to go via the route of the matchmaker. Totally. So that's great.
I really try to, when I sort of started this, and once it started actually becoming kind of a company, I was like, I want to be an affordable, accessible matchmaker that doesn't have the stigma of going to a matchmaker. I was like, I want this to be a complimentary service to being on the dating apps. You can work with me and try out what I'm doing, right? I'm setting you up for a phone call. It's all phone call based. It's voice based to start. You're talking, getting to know each other. I'm also a really big proponent of, even if you are meeting on an app, have a phone call with them before you meet up with them. Don't waste your time. You'll know over the phone 9 times out of 10 if you want to sit down for a date with them. Do the phone call first, whatever. So I always think of it as a complimentary. They go kind of hand in hand, the matchmaking thing. But totally, a lot of matchmaking companies I've heard just nightmare stories and situations. That headhunter thing is always is always really tough because you're getting paid a lot of money if you're headhunting for someone, and if you're not serving, it's like bad. So I don't really. Sometimes I'll do it, but it's like it's like rare. I like don't. It's not that fun.
Well, of course, and word of mouth is everything, and you know, your reputation is everything. And the phone call thing, I advise all my clients to do that. It saves so much time. And truthfully, I was that person who never wanted to have a phone call first, because in my mind I was like, oh, what are we going to talk? If we have a phone call first, what are we going to talk about on the date? However, once COVID hit, phone calls and FaceTime dating really became the norm, and I was stacking them up. Like, I remember on election night, I had 2 FaceTime dates just because I needed to be distracted. And one of them was a dermatologist, and now he ended up, like, I had him check one of my bowls on the FaceTime date because I was just like, what else are we doing?
I need to get one check too, so
Yeah, so, and now he lives in Orange County. We never ended up meeting in person, but he's such a great guy. And so anyone who's looking to have work done, again, we've never met, but I really recommend him. I trust him so much. But it's one of these things where, like, just take the pressure off. Like, you never know. It's not always about, you know, are they going to be my boyfriend? Or are we going to get married? You just sometimes never know who you're going to meet. And I always encourage my clients and anyone to just, like you said, keep an open mind, because you just really never know, and who you'll keep in touch with and what they'll bring and what you can help them with. But the FaceTime, yeah, it's just, you know, party on top or business up top, party down below, however you want to say it. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to look for parking. You don't have to worry about getting followed to your car, anything like that. It's just, it's such a time saver. So I completely agree with you on that. So if for whatever reason it doesn't work out with those you set up, does there seem to be a common reason why, or it just depends? Like, I guess basically what I'm trying to ask is it ever like I didn't get enough information from them and they weren't a fit? Or maybe, because, okay, so for example, with my program, what I find often is people's actions don't align with their words and vice versa. So I'm looking for my wife, and then they're going home with whoever and whomever, and it doesn't match. So do you find that that is the issue, that their words and actions aren't aligning, or is it something else?
I think that the 2 main things that I see is just people not necessarily being picky, but just having a lot of notes for me on things. To the point where I'm like, okay, I don't actually know if my service is for you, because my service is like, we're going to test this out together. It's like going to be fun. Like, it's going to be this like fun experiment. And yeah, if it works out, hopefully you do find a partner. But I know a lot of people that through my company haven't necessarily found the love of their life, but they have found like really great friends. Like, just the other day I was on Instagram, and 2 people that I know posted a picture together, and I commented like, oh my God, crossover universe. Like, how do you guys know each other? And one of them replied and was like, Liv, you like matched us. Like, that's how we know each other. And like, we're friends, but like that. And I was like, I did? I introduced you guys? And like, they're not dating, but like, they're besties. Like, they hang out all the time. And so that's also a fun outcome of like what I do. I'm going to introduce you to someone that you wouldn't have met otherwise, you know? And the stakes are really low. The stakes could not be lower, right? So I think that when people come to me with just so many notes on how things went, I'm like, okay, listen, I'm going to give you another match, you know, like, I'll give you another one, but if you're going to be that picky with me, then this is maybe not the right fit for you. So that's definitely a thing. The second thing for me, when I started this, it was blind phone call dates. It still basically is blind phone call dates. I used to be really anal about not wanting people to look each other up at the time. I'm not anal about that anymore. I think attraction is really important.
Yeah.
It's not a hill that I'm going to die on. That's still the system that I have in place. At present, it's changing right now. But matchmaking is much harder when you introduce the photos, because I don't know who you're going to be attracted to. Like, I'm not living inside your body. Like, I have no idea. So something I used to get a lot was I would set people up. They would have a lot of phone calls. Remember, this was during COVID. Then they would meet up in person, socially distanced, and one or both wouldn't be attracted to each other. The hardest thing was when one person wasn't attracted to the other and the other one was. And I would have to field a lot of messages from people being like, did you hear? Like, I thought we were really getting along. Like, why wasn't she into me, or like that stuff was challenging, which is why I don't really want to do that again, because nothing is tougher than having to be like, yeah, dude, like she just didn't think you were hot. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that blows. So I don't really want to dabble in that again.
I understand. That's the thing, for those who say that apps are so superficial and blah, blah, blah. Look, at the end of the day, you walk into a bar, you're single, your eyes are going to the most attractive people. Then once you start talking, you very well could lose attraction to them.
Like, instantly,
But,
sometimes.
For the swiping left and right, you're doing that in your everyday life. It's just not literally on a phone.
No, totally.
And, look, I will say a lot of the complaints I get from my coaching clients when they go on dates, especially for females, are the filters. They don't look like
The filters.
their pictures are filtered, right? And so the FaceTime, unless you have some crazy apparatus on your phone, which I guess is kind of maybe normal now, but for those who don't, it at least showcases if you have that. And, guys have their own issues too. Have you heard of hat fishing?
What's that? Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Hat fishing, for those who don't know, is when guys wear hats in every single photo on their app, and then you get to the place and they're bald or losing their hair. So
That's a thing. That's a real thing.
It's
Most
a-
guys, but you know what? Baseball caps are totally cute. So, sure.
yeah, but we girls have a really tough time with our hair. There are ways to fix it. I will just say that. So I was
I
going to
do say that all the time. I told my boyfriend recently, he's not losing his hair, but he's just always worried that he's going to. And I was like, that I lose my hair too, right? Like, I was like, that like my hair is super thin now because like I'm getting older and it's like thinning. Like, you realize that it goes both ways, but like women are expected to have luscious, thick, like long hair forever. And I was like, that's like not like, why do you think I keep cutting my hair? Like, I keep cutting it so that it like gets fuller and thicker.
Well, and one day when I have sponsorships from them, let me tell you, Nutrafol and Viviscal, they work. You guys can take them too. And I recently discovered a new serum from The Ordinary. It's a
Heard of
hair
this.
peptide serum. I could not believe how quickly it worked. So I will tell you that there are ways to handle it, and it's not a gender-specific thing.
No,
just should be
it
one
flicks
of those
both
things.
of us, and like
Right.
everyone can figure it out. If it's something that's important to you, there are
Exactly.
solutions for it.
Exactly. So I was going to say, if you had any advice, what would it be to those looking to do matchmaking? But correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like just keep an open mind.
Yeah, just keep an open mind for sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, so we are about ready to wrap up. Did you have any questions for me?
Wow. I guess I just wanted to know, what would you say is the focus of your date coaching business?
Sure. So Vanessa Fine Coaching, it's a 10-course program, 50 minutes each. We spend the first couple sessions talking about your dating history and why you're at where you're at. Most of my clients are single. Most of my clients are actually men, for those who maybe are a bit embarrassed or afraid to dabble into it. But I do anything from building online profiles, going through your photos, your prompts, helping respond to messages. Some are actively dating while we're coaching, so we just kind of go through situation to situation. Others are not actively dating, and we kind of delve into their history. We learn love languages and attachment styles, and so the program really is what you make of it and what you're looking for. I always say from the beginning, I cannot guarantee you a spouse. I'm not a matchmaker. That's not what I am here to do. The basis of the program is discovering you before I do.
Sure.
Dating with confidence. That's really what it's about, dating with intention. So it's really great to hear about the matchmaking success, like I said, because it just seems to be very few and far between. And who doesn't want a great story about how they were set up? And then,
Well, when we'll have to talk, because most of my clients are women. And so I have a ratio of 3 to 1 women to men. And I always say, when a man joins the pool, I'm like, I can give you 10 matches like tomorrow. The amount of women that I have looking for love, so many, and like great, like catches of all ages, catches. So I really appreciate that your clientele is mostly male, because from my experience, mostly men are more resistant to bringing on a coach or joining a matchmaker. But it sounds like for you, you're working with mostly guys. So look at that.
matchmakers, here we come. Matchmaking and coaching. Okay, well, so as we wrap up, is there anything that you wanted to promote that you have upcoming, and tell us links we can go to, your bio, anything like that?
Sure. Most recently, I just finished doing my first show off Broadway, my off Broadway debut.
That is so exciting.
Yeah, it was really awesome. It's going to be extended probably this fall in October or December.
Oh, get out of here.
I do definitely talk about my dating life a little bit in it. It's not really, it's a comedy show. It's like all comedy for sure, but it's not stand up. It's more storytelling. And I also have my book of essays that will be hopefully getting picked up soon. So you could read if you wanted to hear more about being a birthday party clown. You soon will be able to do that, hopefully, or you could come and see the show where I will talk about it. So in addition to being a matchmaker, we got a lot of upcoming projects in New York and in LA.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Olivia.
Of course.
It was so great. Thank you for taking the time with us. And go check out all of Liv's projects, and especially Liv's Love Pool. And we look forward to having you back for our matchmaking success stories.
Yes, see you next time.
Okay, thanks, Olivia. Bye.
Bye.